Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. As we are into the holiday season, I thought I would take time in some of these segments to sort of do what I am calling a holiday series. So I hope you enjoy this series of segments. Also, since we're back into the holiday season, my Christmas CD, Home for the Holidays, is also available, both hard copies at my website, where if you put in the notes, I will personalize that CD to whoever you would like it signed to. Otherwise, I just sign it generically. If you don't want a hard copy of the CD and would just like either the whole CD or individual songs in a digital form, then you can get those, on most of the music platforms, iTunes, Spotify. I don't know if it's on Spotify, but it's, Amazon. You can purchase individual songs or the whole thing. So hopefully that is something that if you don't have it or haven't heard it, that you'll check out. The Homecoming, which was, of course, a holiday Christmas movie back in 1971. And also the launch of the Waltons. I thought I would revisit some aspects of that. In this case, I talked about the two actresses that played Miss Mamie and Miss Emily Baldwin in The Homecoming. So this time, I had this comment, sort of. So it's kind of an Ask Judy thing, that Kim Battles said, "If you haven't already, would you consider doing a video about the first actor who played Ike on the very first episode of the Waltons, the Christmas episode?" So obviously The Homecoming. So in this case, I thought I would talk about Woodrow Parfrey, who played Ike Godsey in The Homecoming. He was born October 5th, 1922 in New York, New York. And I found this interesting as I was trying to search online for information about him. I came across this website that I didn't know existed called Find a Gravesite. And on that, I discovered that he is buried at the Los Angeles National Cemetery, and his inscription reads, "Sidney Woodrow Parfrey, PFC, U.S. Army, World War II, October 5, 1922 to July 29, 1984. So, and according to various internet sources, he was orphaned as a teenager during the Depression, and so then lived in abject poverty for years during the Depression. So tough childhood, tough time growing up. And then he worked as an automobile mechanic before going into the military. And then he served in the U.S. Army. He was wounded during the Battle of the Bulge and was captured by the Germans. So that's just a touch of his history there. I also came across a newspaper clipping from the Daily Herald from Provo, Utah, February 28, 1972. And the headline says, "Woodrow Parfrey makes change from mechanic and POW to actor." And there was no credit for who wrote this article. So I am not unintentionally not giving credit. So I thank whoever did write this for giving me the opportunity to share this with you. It says, "During World War II, a young Jewish boy from New York named Woodrow Parfrey was among the GIs who served time as a prisoner of war. By the time the war was over and he was released, Woody's health was so bad he could not return to his pre-war job, that of automobile mechanic. The Army tested him to find a suitable occupation, and the results were surprising. They indicated Woody should become an actor. I had no idea they'd test and that even becoming an actor would be something that would be among the things that they would have a way to test for. Anyway, it says he did. During the last 25 years, he has been entertaining audiences from the stage, motion picture, and home screens, a familiar but nameless face. "You were that actor in that picture," is the usual comment. "I remember the scene where you looked so scared." A scene like that, according to Woody, is where my neurosis shows. I don't play a scene for the audience. I play it for me. The thing that I'm concerned with is what my life character force is in a given situation. On Tuesday, he guest stars as Reese in The Tangled Web on Channel 4's The Mod Squad at 6:30 p.m. Reese is a security guard in a building that is robbed. As played by Woody, Reese is not one of those guards who stands around and doesn't do very much. You have never really seen a security guard until you've seen Woody play one. No matter how he states it, that what Woody gives to a role is himself, a real person recognized and accepted by the audience. In The Homecoming, the way that Ike was sort of written and portrayed by Woody was that he was a bit of a scamp. I mean, he does collude with Charlie Sneed when Charlie Sneed has been stealing turkeys and produce from stores. And the sheriff at one point comments that, interesting that your store is the only one that hasn't been robbed, which makes me wonder if you know who the culprit is. And you kind of see him sort of, he's looking away. He's not making eye contact with the sheriff at this point, but we get the sense that he does indeed know who the culprit is. And then later when Charlie Sneed is arrested, they have a little bit of a conversation together. So we see that one side of him. And then when he's trying to convince Olivia to buy the doll for Elizabeth, and he's kind of, got a bit of that salesman's charm, trying to persuade her that she could get a little credit for Elizabeth. And so just, some different sides to Ike than what we saw in the Waltons, where they had Ike a bit more as comic relief. And although he is humorous as a character at times in The Homecoming, it isn't quite the way they chose to write it for the series and what they did when they cast Joe Conley, which of course then had a lot more intentional comedy to it. So just differences in The Homecoming and the series in general in terms of some of the casting and some of the way the scripts were written. Now in The Homecoming, I didn't have any scenes with him, so I don't really specifically remember him. I mean, of course, I because I've seen it a bunch, but I probably met him in passing, because we were around kind of every day of filming because we were going to school if we weren't working. So I would have just sort of met him in passing, but never had a chance to really know him. He had a very extensive resume of credits over the course of his acting career. He started he did a lot of theater first and then went on to film and TV. He had 26 film credits, which included The Sting 2, Francis, The Outlaw Josie Wales with Clint Eastwood, Papillon with Steve McQueen, Dirty Harry, again with Clint Eastwood, and Planet of the Apes. He had 183 TV credits, and I'm just going to give you the blast through a lot of them because I kept looking for things that were familiar, and it seemed like everything was familiar. He was really on kind of all the shows during the eras that he was acting. Remington Steele, The Fall Guy, Flo, Vegas, Barnaby Jones, Dallas, Beretta, Little House on the Prairie, where he played Reverend Pritchard. So another of the crossover, Waltons and, connection and Little House connection. He did Charlie's Angels, 8 is Enough, Police Story, McLeod, 9 episodes of Mannix, Streets of San Francisco, Ironside, 4 episodes of Mod Squad, Room 222, 4 episodes of Bonanza, Mission Impossible, Adam 12, The FBI, That Girl, The Doris Day Show, I Dream of Jeannie, The Felony Squad, Lost in Space, Hogan's Heroes, Get Smart, Man from U.N.C.L.E., he did 5 episodes, The Fugitive, My 3 Sons, Combat, Gunsmoke, and many of these shows he did multiple episodes and did different characters over the course of the episodes that he did. So just such a prolific actor. Of course, not all the characters that were in The Homecoming also became recurring characters in the Waltons, but some of them did. And so obviously they stood out in a way and were important enough to Earl relative to either his childhood or the stories that he remembered and had written to become a part of the ongoing stories and community of the Waltons. So nice to have had this, this wonderful actor, Woodrow Parfrey, be a part of The Homecoming and to establish the character of Ike Godsey, who became so known and loved over the 9 seasons and the reunion movies. In closing this holiday series segment, there was a comment here from Tina Alice who said, not quite a question, but just wanted to say, as others are saying, how much of a comfort the Waltons has been and is to me for so many years. I record episodes, and when I need a little hug of comfort, I can watch an episode. But I also believe it should be mandatory for the whole world to watch it and learn how to treat others and how to respect others, how to love each other, work hard, how to encourage others. There is so much we can all learn from watching the Waltons. So thank you so much for that beautiful comment. And it always means so much to me, and I know the rest of the cast, and I'm sure Earl Hamner, to hear how much the show means and how much it inspires and comforts people, and how it has, taught people and shown examples of how to treat each other, and the messages that are so universal and so very needed at any time in history, but certainly as relevant today as they've ever been. Thank you for joining me for this special Ask Judy Holiday Series segment. And if you do enjoy this, please do hit like and subscribe. And I will see you next time for more behind the scenes of the Waltons, more of my holiday series, and who knows what else. Thanks for watching.